This is Psych Overflow, coming to you from the University of Southern California's Psychology Department.
We are your go-to podcast for all things psychology.
Welcome, and let's dive in. This is podcast 1 of the Psych Overflow podcast. I'm Armin. I'm a first-year BCS graduate student at USC, and I'm joined here with Gabe and Iony.
Happy to be here.
So I guess the idea of this is that we kind of just wanted to give an overview of the podcast, explain what it is, what you can expect from it, and hopefully convince you to listen as we continue to put out episodes.
Yeah, thanks, Armin. As Armin mentioned, a lot of our guests were graduate students in our psychology department across many different areas: clinical psychology, brain and cognitive sciences, social psychology. And a lot of our discussions try to center on issues, concerns, and experiences of graduate students and early faculty as well. Like Armin mentioned, we have Dr. Iony Ezawa with us. Some of the topics that got brought up this season were imposter syndrome, how to adapt to graduate student life. What are some of the challenges that come up for students who are starting out? We had a lot of first-year PhD students join us as guests this year. What's it like to find your research passion and what that looks like? We've talked a lot about mentorship. We've talked a lot about reasons why it may not be helpful to do a PhD. And the reason why we wanted to have these discussions is to really open the black box, if you will, of academic psychology, the experience of graduate school, so that folks who are listening, if you're an undergrad, if you've already graduated, even if you're in high school or wherever stage you're at in your academic journey, you can learn a little bit about what graduate school is like for psychology students, and if it may be something that interests you. And hopefully you find encouragement as well in your own journey. And hopefully you can resonate with some of the stories that are told here. Armin, Iony, what has it been for you guys in joining many of the podcasts this semester, and where do you hope to go in the future with Psych Overflow?
It's been really wonderful just to be a part of this effort. I think that I've really learned a lot myself, just hearing the others that are joining these podcasts, like hearing from the first year students, hearing from students in different areas of psychology that maybe I might not be collaborating with nearly as much if I weren't part of this kind of effort. And so it's been just, I think, really exciting to not only be a part of it, but also to kind of share some of like my perspectives too, as a junior faculty member in the department, as a mentor, as someone who's also gone through the hoops of, applying for grad school once upon a time, and kind of being able to share my journey and hear from others. And so, yeah, it's been a wild ride. I'm also learning how to put together a podcast and having a lot of fun sharing information in this way, but also very excited for what there is to come in the future.
Yeah, I kind of just want to echo what Iony was saying. I think the podcast itself has just been a joy for me, just to kind of listen to it and hear everybody else's perspectives and what they're going through. And it's kind of like, the old trope about, you're not alone in whatever you're doing, even though it might feel like you're alone. And, it's just, even as a sort of co-host, it's been comforting to hear everyone else's kind of journey. And, selfishly, it's nice to just kind of get on here and rant a little bit about like stuff that, whatever we're talking about. So I think overall it's just been a great experience for me, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. I think the conversations we're having are important, and I think a lot of people can resonate with them, and that's the hope of the podcast. So, at least for me, it's doing its job.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing. All three of us are a part of the Climate Curriculum and Training Committee here in our psych department. Climate is kind of the faculty and graduate student diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. So Climate is our DEI committee. There's 3 different subcommittees as a part of it. The Curriculum and Training Committee, Retention and Belongingness, Committee and the Equitable Recruitment Committee. So as I said, all three of us were in the Curriculum and Training Committee, and we wanted to think of creative ways of kind of starting these conversations and really digging deeper in ways that we can make our department more welcoming and also better attentive to issues of multiculturalism, bringing that into our curriculum and really making that the focus in our purview when we're doing our own research, or for clinical students when we're, working with clients, working with patients. And so we thought this could be a really good venue to accomplish that. And in the future, we're hoping to bring in guests from not only here at USC, but outside speakers as well, who may be able to contribute further to those conversations and really make it more human. I've been using the word more human focused, right? Like actual people talking and having more long form conversations about, what their experiences are like and where we can do better, where we can actually create a space where people feel like they belong, people feel like they can have the support and inspiration to pursue change, pursue justice in their different occupations and aspirations. So that's where we're going. I guess anything else that you all would like to share? This is episode 1, so we're just kind of setting listeners up for what's to come. But Iony or Armin, do you guys have other thoughts or things that you would like the audience to know as they start to listen, as each of the episodes start to be released?
I guess I would say that the purpose of the podcast, I don't think is to serve as like a end all be all sort of like educational resource. I think it's just kind of another educational tool for people within the department, and hopefully especially so for people outside of the department to hear about what life is like, I guess. And I think even though we're all in the psychology department, I think our conversations can be sort of applied more broadly to kind of academia as a whole. So I would hope that as a listener, if you're not in psychology specifically, I don't think that should be a barrier for you wanting to listen to the podcast. I think that a lot of the things we talk about kind of just resonate to a lot of aspects of life. And, and academia is kind of one of the main topics, obviously, because we're all involved in it. But I think, things like imposter syndrome and sort of, I guess, finding your passion, whether it be a research passion or, a career passion or an artistic, pursuit. And even things like we had a conversation about kind of technology and using tech in kind of like our everyday lives. And again, it was specifically catered to research, but doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I guess I would just say, come in open-minded. And I think there's probably a lot to gain from it, because I certainly gained a lot just from having these conversations myself.
And if you have any neat ideas for future podcasts or love to be a guest, we would be really excited to have you join our effort. And so please feel free to find us on, if you just search USC Psychology Climate. Yeah, we would love to hear from you. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you both. I totally agree. Please hit us up. And as Armin said, no matter what background you're from, what major you're in, there may be stuff that is interesting to you and hopefully inspiring to you. One of my favorite parts of putting this together is hearing everybody's stories and the different challenges and barriers that they felt, as they were in pursuit of applying to PhD programs, getting in. So we want to let listeners know you're not alone. If that's where you feel discouraged, confused, uncertain, hopefully these conversations can be a resource and a tool that you can lean on. And we will have our contact information posted. Touch base with us. We'd love to hear from you all. And thank you all for listening to episode 1 of Psych Overflow. Hope you guys enjoy.
This is Psych Overflow signing off. Thank you for listening.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for future episodes, and don't hesitate to reach out to us with your feedback, questions, or topic suggestions.
See you next time.